Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view results and also some TNA news going around the world. Okay, TNA is going to have their French podcast team of Cecilian, Guarini, and Gregory Diaz at Slammiversary pay-per-view advertised last week. And they also can be seen, of course, on the Machine Sports Network. As well, on the pay-per-view, you can use, go to ImpactWrestling.com for more info on that. TNA President Dixie Carter tweeted the following over the weekend of Tommy Dreamer, about Tommy Dreamer in response to his promo against her at the House of Hardcore event that he was promoting with Bully Ray, and that was and one of them should have been the main event of the show. And she comments by saying, "Hey, at the Tommy Dreamer, heard you was using some colorful, explicit language discussing me at your show this past weekend. Hashtag classy." And also comments at Tommy Dreamer, "How come you didn't just book me? You used me, my name, and my IP to make yourself and your show relevant." "Relevant?" he replied. "I have more followers than you." Hashtag raw. "Get your facts straight at TNA Dixie. I called you a bitch." At House of Hardcore, fans said, "Way worse. Don't mess with people's lives." At Karma. Hashtag Karma. Hashtag raw. And he also said the following on his Facebook page: "I never wanted a publicist. I don't feel the need. So here's my official statement. In today's society, with social media being the way that it is," and you laugh, the way it is, I laugh. "Every time a celebrity says something that's not politically correct, and they apologize for it, the only reason why they apologize is because they got caught for it or hurt their image. The wrestling community is a buzz over my recent House of Hardcore events. It was so much work, but so happy that it worked out for me, the wrestlers, and importantly the fans. The biggest controversy is Bully Ray being pulled from my show, and here's how it went down. I have one of my best friends calling me and saying, 'I can't believe I have even made this call. Bubba tells me that TNA is pulling me from your show. I have to do an appearance for them in LA. I say, okay, and I have no appearance contracts like I've had in the past. I put my thinking cap on, and I remember so many times in the original ECW stuff, like they happened before. In doing my best Paul Heyman, I didn't lie to my audience. I gave them 2 matches, told them that they can leave now, get those 2 matches for free, and get a refund. But they stayed. I had a surprise, and I promised they sold a solid show. I advertised the main event and didn't have one player. I felt that was the right thing to do. It worked out in the end, maybe better than I have ever hoped before. Not one person left. I also told the audience this part of the show won't be on the DVD. It was just for them. It was. I did call Dixie Carter a bitch, and I'm not apologizing for it. The crowd said way worse things than I ever did about her. It was a bad business move, which I see being made all the time. I'm all business. I have helped TNA Wrestling before and did very good business for them, drawing 3 times the amount of people from the last show that they did in Mid-Hudson Civic Center from something I put together at House of Hardcore 3. To TNA's credit, John Gerberich, head of talent relations, who has always been straight with me, offered to help any way possible. I at first wanted Bobby Roode and Erich both agreed to help, even though they had personal stuff, and I just went with my gut. No fat jokes there. Bully Ray and I came up with if any fan bought a House of Hardcore ticket and brought it to a TNA upcoming TV or house show in Pennsylvania or New York, he will have a free meet and greet because he feels like shit and wants to make it good. TNA agreed, which is just good business for both. I turn the negative into a positive. That's what I do. It benefits both House of Hardcore and TNA, and importantly, the fans. I help out behind the scenes of TNA. I'm not under contract. I don't know if I will be brought back yet. And if not, that's okay. I will continue to support Impact Wrestling. I love the men and women there, and I want their business to grow. If WWE, Ring of Honor, or any other indie asks me to help them, I'll do the same. I love wrestling, and I want to see it continue to strive and get better. I'm a 43-year-old man, and I don't need to take people's petty issues, especially if something affects my shows and hard work. I have an issue with that, and I will voice my opinion. I feel that there are always ways for many hypocrites that only voice their grievances after the company stops paying them. To me, that's just BS. My House of Hardcore slogan is no politics, no BS, just wrestling. I strive to continue to have that in my locker room and with paying customers. Hardcore is strong work ethic. So when people talk about what's going on or go start rumors direct from here or my Twitter, thanks. Look forward to continued progress. This Saturday, the past Saturday, Hardcore, House of Hardcore 6 West Coast Invasion. You can go to houseofhardcore.net either for the results or more news on the future of House of Hardcore. Kazarian's profile has been moved to the alumni roster on the TNA website. ODB noted on her Twitter that her episode of My Family Recipes Rocks will air July 13th on the Live Well Network. TNA has reached out to several former X Division champions about working the Destination X Impact Wrestling Future pay-per-view or later this month for the tapings. And now for what everybody's been waiting for. Arlington, Texas, the College Park Fair presents your Slammiversary 2014. Pay-per-view opened up with MVP Kenny King and Bobby Lashley talking backstage. MVP King was unhappy because their plan was out the window since MVP's injury. MVP said he was supposed to be there due to his knee injury. King asked MVP if he still had his back. MVP said King would have to have his own back tonight. As King stormed off while saying he would win the title, a video package played up the anniversary element of the show and a female voice hyping that they were celebrating 12 years of TNA. Mike Tenay and Taz were on commentary for your show. Sonata versus Manic versus Tiger Uno versus Crazy Steve versus Eddie Edwards versus Davey Richards in a 6-way ladder match for the X Division title was first up. The Wolves entered together. The Menagerie walked to ringside with Steve. They now have a little person in their group. Manic dove over onto Sonata as we start the match. As they were walking to the ring, and the match was on. There was Crazy Steve chant going on early on. This is a TNA anniversary show for those that don't know. Well, if you don't know, you better call me, bro. So it works only to be appropriate if the midget is later found to be whacking off in the trash can. Yeah, that actually has happened in the past in the TNA storyline. The Wolves teamed up for a kick from Edwards to Uno, who was then German suplex onto a ladder by Richards at 3 minutes in. Manic missile drop kicked the ladder into the Wolves. As Steve entered the ring, putting the ladder around his head and spun around Terry Funk style. Meanwhile, a few other wrestlers come in and like dopes walking into the ladder. Manic climbed the ladder. Steve shoved it over, but Manic springboarded off the top rope and onto the wrestlers at ringside. Steve climbed the ladder and had to stall while waiting for Sonata to knock him off the ladder. Sonata then placed Steve on another ladder and performed a moonsault onto him. At 7 minutes 45 seconds in the match, Richards performed a code breaker on Uno off the top rope, while Edwards held Uno. The Wolves climbed the ladder and got to the top at the same time. They shrugged and then traded punches and then headbutted. A short time later, Manic performed a wicked sunset flip powerbomb on Richards that drove him onto a second ladder that was set up on the standing ladder and as well as the middle rope. which was a cool spot. Sonata climbed the ladder and then pulled down the title to retain the belt. In a 9-minute 45-second match, a train wreck spot fest match that ate up the live crowd. There was a couple of corny spots. The live crowd didn't seem to mind about it. The real disappointment was the flat finish after such a crazy match. But there was a big spot with Richards and Manic, and then it was simply Sonata climbing the ladder and half-heartedly kicking Edwards away to win. On a positive note, it's always nice when TNA gets out of the studio and in front of an excitable crowd. I don't know how many tickets were sold or comped, but the lower bowl on the hard camera side is full, and fans were lively. Today, and Taz spoke about MVP being forced out of the main event match due to an injury, and the new main event scenario is MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Kenny King walking on stage for a promo. MVP was on crutches. MVP ran through the new main event scenario for match number 2, Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe for a spot in the three-way dance for the title in the show. Later on is Kenny King versus Austin Aries to advance. Well, Joe received a strong reaction from the crowd. Lashley was all over Joe to start the match and threw shoulder blocks at him in the corner. Brock Lesnar style, Joe cut off a charging Lashley with a boot to the head and then caught him with a kick, which fired up the crowd. Lashley bowed out to ringside 2 minutes 30 seconds in, but Joe caught him with a suicide dive. Lashley remained on the offense and put a nerve lock on Joe, which actually led to Joe chants from the crowd. Lashley cut off Joe when the crowd faded momentarily. Lashley threw punches and went back to the nerve hold. The crowd rallied behind Joe again. Lashley ran the ropes and then ran into a kick from Joe. Then the fans rallied behind Joe as both men got to their feet. Joe caught Lashley with a big boot and a senton splash for a 2 count. Joe went for the muscle buster at 8 minutes 30 seconds in, but Lashley cut him off. Lashley whipped Joe towards the referee, but Joe stopped short of the referee. However, when Joe turned around, Lashley was there to spear him and get the win. 8 minutes 50 seconds to advance to earn a spot at the TNA title match. It's amazing that no matter how bad Joe has been booked over the years, the live crowds still rally behind him. This was an entertaining match with Joe really carrying things. Lashley's offense left something to be desired, but he still tried hard. In the luxury box, Jeremy Borash noted that Bob and Janice Carter were there in attendance. He found Dixie Carter and Rockstar Spud and interviewed them. Dixie said Bully Ray and his thugs messed with the wrong family, and JB brought up the important meetings that were held, teasing on the TNA website. Dixie said she wouldn't say anything until she was in the ring in front of the world. Match number 3, Willow with Abyss versus Magnus with Bram. With the heels already in the ring, Willow took a seat next to Chrissy Hemme momentarily. As my internet feed was going in and out during the next couple matches, Abyss was introduced. Magnus took advantage of a distracted Willow and controlled the opening moments of the match. Willow came back went for the twist of fate at 6 minutes 10 seconds in, but Magnus avoided it. Willow went for the second rope and played to the crowd. You know what time it is now, Taz said. No, Willow splashed Magnus from the second rope. Taz confessed that he thought Willow was going for the swanton, which he then did and missed. Bram tried to interfere, but Abyss got a hold of him and rocked him up. Magnus intervened, and both heels beat down on Abyss until Willow performed a crazy back first dive onto both heels, which led to a TNA chant. Bram and Abyss fought into the ring with Hardy, and Magnus sold on the floor. Abyss got the better of the exchange, and then Willow and Magnus returned to the ring. Willow hit a pair of twists of fate on Magnus for a 2 count. Bram pulled out the turnbuckle crank, and then waited while Abyss pulled Janice out from underneath the ring. Bram backed off as Abyss pointed the nail board with him. For some reason, Bram actually dropped his weapon and backed up to the stage. Back in the ring, Willow caught a charging Magnus with an elbow. Willow went up top, but Magnus swept his legs and Willow's head hit the turnbuckle. Magnus hit her Uranagi on Willow and scored a clean pin. Afterwards, Abyss returned to the ring and ran off the heels. And the match took 9 minutes 50 seconds. It's refreshing change to see a heel clean win, as that rarely appears in TNA. Jeff Hardy won't lose anything by dropping this match. Here's hoping they aren't crazy enough to have Hardy get his win back on Impact this week's taping. While it's because it would erase or whatever was good done in this match. Tenay and Taz then turned things around over to the French commentary team for a brief moment, and then turned things over to Jeremy Borash, who was in the ring for their Hall of Fame announcement. Borash introduced Kurt Angle, who received strong reaction from the live crowd. Angle was all smiles as the fans chanted his name in an USA chants. Angle said, being elected into the TNA Hall of Fame is a level of greatness and respected by the wrestlers backstage and the fans. The fans chanted, thank you, Kurt. He responded by saying, he's not retired and don't be thanking me yet. Angle announced that possibly the greatest tag team of all time were the inductees. Team 3D then came out. Were introduced as the newest members of the TNA Hall of Fame. Bully Ray and Devon both appeared on stage together. Fans popped big for the announcement. Taz said he'd been at the building all day and had no idea that Devon was even there. Ray and Devon headed to the ring together, continued to play to the fans, who chanted, we want tables. Bully Ray smiled and let the fans continue chanting. They found held up a sign that read, the real TNA Hall of Fame, Jarrett, AJ, and Mike Tenay. Ray said that was the best we want tables chant we've ever heard forever. The fan chanted 3D. Ray looked as Devon and said, couldn't even begin to tell him how great it was to be standing in the ring with him again. Ray and Devon shared a long look and a long hug as the fans chanted, welcome back. Ray sat back and pointed at Devon, who patted his chest in appreciation. Ray said that they accept what for one reason, because of every single one of you. Ray said that the fans are responsible for making Team 3D the most successful team in the history of pro wrestling. Ray then handed the mic to Devon. Devon said he vowed not to return to TNA when he left in August. He said he thought he was through. The fans chanted, you still got it, at Devon. He smiled and said then he got the phone call saying that they would be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. Devon said, he's been up and down the road with Ray, winning one tag title after the other, and it's only fitting that if they go out together in the Hall of Fame. Devon then said they should go out in a blaze of glory as Devon delivered, oh, my brother, testify, gimmick line. A cool moment and a nice surprise. I really expected to be Mike Tenay or Taz. Not really. Myself, I wasn't expecting anybody. Ray going in solo would have felt premature, but Team 3D tag works for me. I also suspect we will eventually see them enter the WWE Hall of Fame. If nothing else, it's kind of cool that TNA beat WWE to the punch with all three of their Hall of Fame inductees. Backstage, Jeremy Borash interviewed Ethan Carter III, who boasted about being TNA Hall of Famers, beating TNA Hall of Famers Sting and Kurt Angle. He said it's fitting that he would beat Bully Ray, which would make him the hardcore American icon. He said Ray is a villain who has threatened his family. He said it's not Von Erich country, but rather that they are in Carter country. Match number 4, Austin Aries versus Kenny King for the title spot. 3-way dance. King goes to ringside and stood in front of some of the Dallas Cowboy players who were in attendance. Aries got off to a fast start, and then King took control of the fast pace. Slowed. Tenay and Taz and King said King winning this match would make the main event a glorified handicap match for Eric Young. 8 minutes 30 seconds in, Erich survived the last entry and the crowd came to life. Camera angle didn't catch exactly what happened, but it appeared that King raked Austin eyes to break up the giveaway that he released the hold and sold the eye pain. The broadcast team didn't seem to pick it up at all. Erich came back with top rope brainbuster for the win. Even 10-minute match. A good back and forth action match, even though I thought that they would have King win and then lose in the main event. He seemed least a notch below Aries in star power category. The main event is now set. Eric Young versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Aries. All back and forth nonsense with the Aries working babyface and heel actually helped in this case. It's a bit of wild card rather than a straight up ally of Eric Young. And more importantly, he should give a major boost to the quality of the main event match. Then JB welcomes the Dallas Cowboys to the show, and they actually received a mixed reaction. Borash introduced Kevin, Ross, and Marshall Von Erich for their TNA debut. With a big ovation, Ross and Marshall came out in the ring gear. Borash wished Kevin a happy Father's Day. Kevin said it was great to be there amongst so many friends to introduce his sons. The bromance music interrupts and the duo of DJ Z and Jesse came out. Jesse spoke about what's tight and said the Dallas Cowboys, Spurs, and Von Erichs aren't. Match number 5, Marshall and Ross Von Erich versus Jesse Goddard and DJ Z. I knew they were on the card, but it was unknown to who they were facing until time for the pay-per-view. Kevin took his seat in the front row. Marshall worked barefoot just like his father did. Marshall teased the Iron Claw a couple of times, but DJZ avoided it. Ross tagged in and threw a really slow punch that awkwardly tried to climb the ropes, only to be pulled down from behind by DJ. And then DJ performed a big dive onto Ross on the floor. Marshall tagged in and hit a couple of clotheslines and then teased the claw again, but he was cut off by the heels. Ross hit a missile drop kick on Z and Jesse. Moments later, Jesse tried to bring a chair in the ring, but Ross drop kicked it away. The Von Erichs teamed up for a drop kick and running punch combo. The Von Erichs had a match won, but Jesse returned and hit both of them with chairs for the disqualification. Well, Kevin abandoned the sandals that he was wearing in the crowd in the front row and attacked Z for a mega pop from the Texas crowd. Kevin applied the Iron Claw on Zima and then left the ring. Earl Hebner raised the hands of all three Von Erichs as the crowd cheered. Ross and Marshall won the match by disqualification in 4 minutes 55 seconds. Ross and Marshall are some combination of green and rusty. They looked very tentative at times. They both showed some athleticism. It was really cool to see Kevin Von Erich get the huge ovation from the Texas crowd. Forget the match quality, the fans got the payoff they were looking for. Borash backstage was interviewing Angelina Love and Velvet Sky for the next match. Borash questioned how many times Angelina has won without Velvet's help. Velvet said that they are besties and do everything together. Angelina said 2 is always better than just 1. So we get Angelina Love with Velvet Sky in the corner with Gail Kim for the TNA knockout title. Well, this match was basically thrown out of the waters because I don't think they even knew what the rules were. Because obviously the referee sure did. The first referee, the original referee sure didn't. As you will see what happens when the second referee come in. And you can even see what's going on from there. This match was so predictable by the events of what happened. Well, Velvet brought a pink bag to the ring with her. Kim went for her Renata early, but Angelina slammed her head down and became the aggressor. Later in the match, Angelina performed a wicked move that today described as an inverted bulldog from the middle rope. Gail came back, but Velvet sprayed her with a hairspray from the ring apron as the referee was right there in front of her face. And the referee, none other than Brian Stifler, acted like he didn't see it right in front of her. Velvet blasted Kim with a big boot and covered her, but he only got a 2 count. Earl Hebner ran out and threw out Velvet, then replaced Stifler as the referee. Later in the match, Gail Kim tried to drop kick Love, but she ended up hitting Hebner as Angelina pulls Hebner in the way as she just barely struck Hebner, and he just falls down. Takes the hip back bump. Gail hits a Love with a eat defeat. Goes for the cover, but Hebner was still out. Or actually like he was out. Seriously. Angelina recovered and rolled up Kim. And still out. No pinfall count. Stifler entered the ring and counts the pinfall. Taz said he didn't want to believe that Stifler was a dirty ref. Today said that he seems to be enamored with Love and Sky. And Angelina Love defeated Gail Kim in a 7-minute match to retain the TNA Knockouts title. That was a sucky match. A very clunky match considering that the talent was in the ring. And the heel ref or smitten ref storyline just seemed to come and go. Because Earl Hebner, every time during this match, he would just stay there right where the action was going on. So you knew that there was going to be a ref bump. Backstage, Bully Ray and Devon spoke. Ray asked Devon if he was going to be able to hang around. I didn't see this part because the internet he was going in and out. Buffering a long time on Ringside News where I was watching it. Devon said he had to go because of Father's Day. Someone off camera asked Ray for his thoughts on the match. He repeated the "over my dead body" line that he said on the Impact several times. He mentioned the names of the Von Erichs, Freebirds, and Terry Funk to play to the Texas crowd. He said he doesn't know if EC3 is religious, but if he is, this is when he should be start praying. Ray said he would crucify EC3 for the sins of his aunt and then baptize him in blood. And then we get the match. Bully Ray versus Easton Carter III in a Texas Death Match. Texas Death Match. Ray brought out Stan Hansen's style bull rope with him. Yeah, you know, with the cowbells at the end of it. Today said that there were no pins, submission, or disqualifications. He said that the only way to win is if one man's opponent can't answer the referee's 10 count. Ray went for tables under the ring early on to set up a couple at ringside. The fans also chanted for the cowbell. Texas fans have fewer, and the only cure is more cowbell. Ray used a cheese grater on EC3's chest. It didn't seem to cut him. Must have been rubberized, but it was effective in that fans were gasping and were cheering on. EC3 comes back and slammed Ray's head into a chair that was in the ring a few times. The fans were quiet as EC3 worked slowly. EC3 went to the top rope, and Ray got up and slammed the ropes, which crotched him. Ray superplexed EC3 on a chair. It looked like EC3's ass hit the chair. Taz said it looked like Ray missed his mark. Yeah, I did see that part myself. It did kind of miss. The crowd then quieted down some more considerably about how they were early for Ray's antics. Ray pulled out a Dallas Cowboy trash can, kid style, smallish like, which didn't get much of a reaction. Well, we found out later on that there was something inside of it. Ray found a box cutter underneath the ring and then used it to cut the canvas off. Yep, along with the padding underneath the foam. He pulled the canvas and padding back to expose the boards. Much different than the 2x10s or 2x6, 2x8s. Ray looked to the crowd and asked if they wanted the boards. Then pointed at a table that was set up in a corner and went back and forth surveying them. Rockstar Spud then interrupts and hits the ring and struck Ray with a kendo stick from behind. Ray nose hold the stick shot and then put it between Spud's legs and lifted him up in the air with it several times before finally hitting him over the head with it. EC3 then capitalized on the distraction by slamming Ray's head into the boards. EC3 picked up the trash can and poured the charge of glass that was inside of it and into the middle of the ring. EC3 dove on the second rope and Bully caught him with the bubble cutter onto the glass. The fans chanted, "Holy shit," as EC3 sold on the floor. And from the glass, he just rolled to the floor and just holding it like this is awesome, chant. Ray hits EC3 over the head with a kendo stick again. Ray placed EC3 on the two tables that were set up at ringside earlier in the show, or earlier in the match, and then went to the ropes. At 15 minutes, 10 seconds in, Dixie Carter came out, got her 2 cents in, and stuck her finger at Ray, and shook her finger at Ray, Hogan style. He responded by yelling, "I'm going to kill you, bitch." Ray chased Dixie around the ring, and she could end up walking into EC3, who braced her fall and then put her on her back. Dixie sold it like she was shot, and EC3 acted like he was shot. Ray picked up Dixie's limp body and placed her on the table, and then went back towards the ropes as EC3 struck Ray with a kendo stick. Spud grabbed Dixie, pulled her off the table just a moment before Ray fell out off the ring apron through the table. Ray was counted out and lost the match. There was a loud bullshit chant from the crowd, and the match lasted 17 minutes and 50 seconds, the longest match of the evening. The fans ate up the hardcore elements of the match, and even more worse, they were all great to me. But things really took a turn for the worse when Dixie came out. The collision between Dixie and EC3 was ridiculous, weak, and never should have been portrayed like this from any angle. And the shot from EC3 to Ray's back that led to the finish wasn't much better. I'm sure it hurt, but Ray looked weak considering that he hit EC3 with several kendo sticks to the head that weren't even budging him. I'm not advocating the shot to the head. I'm just saying that the logic of using the stick shots early on and then going back to one at the end was flawed. And don't even get me started on "I'm going to kill you, bitch." That's just low class regardless of the storyline. A video package recapping the Mr. Anderson and James Storm storyline. And even my daughter was here to watch some of the pay-per-view. As I had her for the weekend, she's got an extended stay. Well, she started watching this part of this match and then walked off. Don't blame her much in this one. James Storm versus Mr. Anderson. Storm cut a promo before the match about how a real cowboy came to the state of Texas. He mocked the fake ass cowboy and the cowboys in the crowd and noted that he's a Tennessee Titans fan. Well, Mr. Anderson came out and delivered his pre-match shtick. "I hail from Green Bay, Wisconsin," Mike and all. And even my daughter said, "Mr. Anderson." She almost said the 3-letter bad word. Because she started watching Mr. Anderson come when he was doing that shtick. He asked the fans to give it up for the Cowboys, which drew a mixed reaction. Yeah, Green Bay Packer fan chanting for the Cowboys. Anderson went into his intro and then said he was tired of waiting and didn't say the second. Anderson. Then you go for it. Wait for it. Anderson. Storm and Anderson brought the ringside to start the match briefly and then entered the ring to start the match. Storm replied to figure 4 at just a minute 10 seconds in. Anderson sold the knee when he stood up, then dodged a charging Storm in the corner. 4 minutes 35 seconds in. Storm went to ringside and spit beer at the Cowboys players. One of the players, apparently, George Delvey, went after Storm and knocked a piece of the guardrail down. Back inside the ring, Storm shoved the referee down and set up to hit Anderson with a beer bottle. Selvey showed up at ringside and took the bottle from Storm. Then Anderson hit the mic check on Storm for the win. After the match, the Cowboy players in the ring, which my feed came back in at that time. And yes, I pulled up a different laptop and watched it on a different one, which I tried to watch it on my PS3, but a lot of the internet feeds were pulled in violation of copyright info, or just wasn't even showed. I had to go like 6 links in, and then buffering, I went to 8 links into one of the sites, the links. Well, also, after the match, Cowboy players entered the ring and posed with Anderson while Taz did the Sports Center sounder. Mr. Anderson pinned Jay Storm in a 5-minute, 50-second match. Only time will tell whether they get their Sports Center moment. Will Anderson do any backstage recruiting on behalf of his beloved Packers? This was an awkwardly placed match in that they just had the big brawl of the night before having the quick brawl of the night. Backstage, Borash was about to interview Eric Young about the main event when Austin Aries showed up. Aries told Young that a lot has happened between them over the last couple of months, but none of that matters because it's about the TNA title now. He said he tasted it once and he wants it again. May the greatest man win tonight, as Aries said. Aries then walks off. Young cut a promo in which he put over Lashley. Young boasted about how crazy he is and concluded that he is crazy enough. There wasn't much of a crowd reaction afterwards. A video focused on Eric Young winning the TNA title. Broadcast team recapping Lashley and Aries' win from earlier in the match, early in their title shots. So we get Eric Young versus Austin Aries versus Bobby Lashley in a steel cage match for the TNA Championship. Of course, Jeremy Borash does the usual introduction for the championship match. As the wrestlers make their entrance, they usually with in-ring introductions. Not sure if the switch was due to the cage or because they are running short on time. Which they was. The announcers spoke about how crazy Young is and made his entrance. Borash announced that the match could end only by pinfall or submission. Sinead praised the announcement and then said the stakes are high and shouldn't be decided by escaping the cage. Well, I'll give you somebody did escape. I'll tell you with the results in this. Some of the early highlights, including Lashley suplexing Aries into the cage, and then Young performing a double Death Valley driver on both opponents. 7 minutes 40 seconds in, Aries performed the top rope Hurricane Rana on Lashley. Young performed the top rope elbow drop on Lashley and had him pinned, but Aries broke up the pinfall. And then Aries kicked him in the face, followed up with a brain buster for a good near fall. And then Lashley gets up and speared Aries and sold it by spinning around. Lashley went for a spear on Young, who ducked, and Lashley crashes through the cage door and to the floor. Cage door? No, he went through the fence. Which wasn't very much pulled up. You know how the camera pulls in? Well, it just pulled all the way out. Lashley went right through it, which explains why they went with a no escape, the cage give it. Young hits the top rope elbow drop on Aries for a 2 count. And at 10 minutes 25 seconds in, Aries rolled through a Young move and then blasted him with a drop kick to the face. They counter some finishers, some specials. Both men go to the feet and trading forearms and punches. It's like a hockey fight now here. Boo! Yeah! Boo! Yeah! As the crowd goes on and on and on. Chad said for reasons he only understands, Aries performed a running drop kick on Young in the corner and then went for a brainbuster. But Young pushed off the cage with his feet and ended up performing a pile driver on Aries for the win. As Lashley was trying to get back inside, as the camera wasn't showing this. Afterwards, Young celebrated and then helped Aries get to his feet. Eric Young defeated Austin Aries and Bobby Lashley in a 3-way dance in 12 minutes 35 seconds to retain the title with only 7 minutes remaining in total pay-per-view time. A good match. Adding Aries to the mix was definitely the right call and creative deserves credit for turning the negative into the the MVP injury into a positive by coming up with a quality main event. There were dueling chants for Young and Erich during the match, as they were going boo yeah, turning it eventually boo yeah, boo ah, whatever. Boo yay, whatever. Or boom yay. Couldn't understand what the crowd was saying. Was watching it early on, and there was very little sound, so I changed it to my own laptop and got the full sound. From even on the main site where we tried to get it on the first part of it on the TV, big screen, PS3 version, and what have you. Okay. Afterwards, like I said, Young actually scored the pin. However, they came to life with a TNA chance after Young got to his feet. Young worked hard, and we like his act, but not solid on him being the right guy to hold the TNA title belt very much longer. Because his TV show is about to debut, so I expect him to lose next month's pay-per-view at least. Overall, this was better than average TNA pay-per-view thanks to Von Erich showing up. The live crowd was enthusiastic for most of the part, and it's always nice to see TNA has a babyface champion because they are more likely to close the show with a clean finish. It's hard to justify the price when WWE Network is only $9.99 and Ring of Honor running the show Sunday nights, the next Sunday night, $25. It's something TNA needs to work out with the pay-per-view companies. Don't hold it against them, but I expect a lot of fans do when it comes to deciding whether or not to order the show in the first place. Turning it from a major negative to a positive, always a good thing, especially presented as a solid 3-hour show. Can't say much more than that. Left me looking forward to seeing what comes next. So good job, TNA, on this. Let's see what good happens. I've been hearing some bad news. Got some bad news for you. Got the forum. Some of the TNA wrestlers are not resigning and threatening to leave. So, thank you for that. It's just that way. Thanks again. Peace out. See you when I'm going to be ya. Don't forget, if you don't know, you better call me, bro. Thanks again. Peace out.